So how do you look for a good resale property? In my previous video, I've actually shared 3 of the things that are happening in the market today. How do you actually capture an opportunity for you to be able to enter into something that is going to be investment worthy to an extent that at a point where you want to exit, you will be able to exit safe and be able to maximize your profit from there. So considering that prices have gone up over the past couple of months with OCR hitting 3,000 per square foot, I wanted to cover this video in a very short snippet kind of way, not diving too deep into it because every area has different demand and every area has different kind of supply. So specific to your situation, if you're still unclear after this video, you can also reach out to me directly. But here in this video, what you can expect will be a couple of theories where you can capture to be able to determine and cross out or narrow down some options that you might be looking at if today you're looking at resale property. So step 1, we want to understand the 4 traits to look at from an investment point of view. So 1 is definitely land size. Generally speaking, when I filter out for my clients, I always look at units that are 300 units and above. It's a relatively simpler theory. If let's say we're looking today at a 40 unit development, every year there might be just one transaction. And if that particular year it just happens to have a transaction that is 20% lower than the previous transaction, it takes a while for the transaction volumes to go up and at the same time for the prices to go up as well. But if let's say there are 300 units and above, in terms of looking at the land size, the facilities and also the volume of transactions, the volume of transactions will be able to help to push the prices up as well. Second point is visibility. Some of the condos that are unheard of are usually some that are in places where nobody will drive by. It takes a while to be able to get in there. So in terms of the name of the development, nobody will really know about it. Why this is important, right, is understanding that actually for newer projects, that if you're entering into brand new project, upon TOP there will be definitely people looking at the project. But if there's not something that people would be able to look at when they drive past, is hey, what's this project? It will be a little bit harder for people to capture some form of demand. So visibility is important where you know that as long as I've heard of it and I've seen it before, or I don't need to drive like 10 minutes down into one small lane road to be able to get there, this will be able to help in terms of visibility. A reputable developer, I think when it comes to projects that are slightly older, what I want to be careful of is understanding that actually developer matters quite a bit. Your furnitures and quality of the things that they are providing to you. Because next time, if let's say you enter a project that is 20 years old, you want to be able to exit at the 35-year mark, right? These 15 years, a lot of things can happen. There can be a lot of breakdowns of the leaves and all that. And having a reputable developer and a good MCST will be able to kind of help to uphold the value a little bit more. And at the point of exit, you know that the future buyer come in, they don't feel that it's uncomfortable. Most importantly is a good layout. For example, 2-bedroom now, what's popular is an enclosable kitchen. In terms of cooking, it makes it a little bit less oily overall in a sense. So now the open concept kitchen layouts are not so popular in today's market. For example, the 3-bedroom, some 3-bedrooms come with open concept kitchen as well. I cannot imagine fitting a family in there, for example, or a 3-bedroom that does not come with a home shelter. And in places where the demand is mostly drawn to BTO upgraders, coming from a BTO to a condo, they want to be able to know that at least I don't compromise so much of my space, but I still get something that fits in like a 4-room HDB flat. So these are the 4 traits to look at. Once you understand these 4 points, within the area that you're looking at, you can actually be able to filter down a little bit more already. So for example, the land size, if you're looking at a place in Serangoon, for example, there are a lot of boutique projects over there, there are 40 units kind, or even in East Coast, Luchet, that side, there is a lot of boutique projects. I would think that there's only selected few that you can potentially invest in and the value continues to go up, but some of them are generally kind of like a ripple effect of what generally, for example, East Coast is performing, and it's always kind of lacking in terms of the value. Looking at all these 4 factors, it will be able to help you understand and narrow down on the kind of overarching theme that you should be looking at. So step 2, we want to dive a little bit deeper, and for all these 3 pointers, I will be able to give you one example at least, just to kind of work out where I'm going with this. So at least when you're doing a homework for your particular area, I think you can really get a good sense from there as well. First point is look at where your entry price is as compared to other areas nearby. We want to look at these 3 examples that launch at about the same time and also relatively around the same area. So today we're looking at JadeScape, Park Colonia, and also Woodley Residences. So JadeScape is near Marymount MRT. There are only 2 blocks that are within Ai Tong Primary, and in terms of amenities, not that much, and they launch at about 1,006 PSF. The second one is Park Colonia. So Park Colonia is near Woodley MRT. There was an upcoming mall opposite that was still building. There's also Woodley Residences that is directly above the MRT. and we call it an integrated development. For integrated developments, we do see that the entry price is much higher as well. And then when we look back at what the price point is, we want to understand that actually the growth for JadeScape has actually gone up way higher than the other two. From a layman point of view, you see Tree Park Colonial and Woodleigh Residences has very good traits because they are quite close to the city, and also at the same time there's a mall and it's an integrated development. But when we look at the gap between this and this, it's about 500 PSF gap. This would definitely affect and determine the profits that you eventually make. If back then we see that actually JadeScape was selling at 2,000 per square foot, Woodleigh Residences integrated nearer to the city is selling at 2,001 per square foot, then it does make sense for you to go for Woodleigh Residences. But in this case, what we're seeing at that point of time was JadeScape was selling at 1,006 per square foot, while Woodleigh was selling at 2,001 per square foot. So in this case, that gap creates an opportunity for you today, making the growth 6 years, 7 years down the road much better. This is looking back at history, right? If you had made a decision to buy JadeScape at 1,006 per square foot, then you should be seeing quite good profits today. But if you bought Park Colonial and Woodleigh Residences, you definitely still make profit, but you may not get as much growth as what JadeScape has given. So what about today? When we talk about entry price today, we want to also acknowledge that for places like in the OCR region, the OCR region has already hit 2,007 per square foot, average about 2,005. And Tampines Trillium, which is a Resale EC, is selling at about 1,007 to 1,008 per square foot. And if you ask me, Tampines Trillium is in a much better location. This one has Poi Ching in terms of the school. This one has St. Hilda. So a little bit of different factors to this as well. This is also an integrated development. But when we look at the gap here between this one and this one, is a whopping 50.93%. So essentially 51% more coming into Tampines Trillium versus Pioneer Residences. Next time, the Pioneer Residences person will want to be able to sell at 3,000 per square foot. But for here, I just need to be able to sell at 2,003 to 2,005 per square foot to be able to make the same profit with a lower capital amount that you're entering into. So in this case, what we are seeing in terms of opportunity here is looking at what is the gap between a resale and a brand new, and seeing that actually this one, it is a no-brainer for me to go for resale instead because the entry price is much lower, and for the price that I want to exit at is going to be just the price that has been already transacted today. Another question is, why did Lentor do so well? We want to look at the supply in the area. So here is Panorama, it's 7 years old, it's at Ang Mo Kio MRT. The PSF at the point of time in the resale front has already gone up to about 2,186 PSF. And Lentor mentioned coming in higher PSF project. I specifically chose a higher PSF project, but actually Lentor launched at about 1,009 to 2,001 PSF for their very first project. But if I just compare 2004 PSF for Lentor mentioned that it's brand new, it's actually a less than 10% gap. So in this case, Panorama 7 years old versus Lentor mentioned, it might make more sense for you to go for the brand new development instead because the gap between the resale and the new is very short. But of course, depending on your specific area that you're looking at, these numbers will vary and the answer would vary as well. So sometimes it may make sense to go for new, sometimes it may make sense to go for resale development as well. So the second point I want to talk about is overall supply. And the reason why JadeScape has done so well is not just purely because of entry price, but really understanding what's the overall supply in the area. And we look at what I filtered down over here. If I look at D20 condo, and I want to find a 4 and 5 bedroom and TOP that is relatively new, I only have 3 resale projects. And one is Ang Mo Residences that just TOP, one is this Cactus one, and the other one is JadeScape over here. In the resale front, there are only 3 projects in the whole D20 area that has 4 and 5 bedrooms that are relatively new in terms of their age. When I look at this from this angle is, every time I want to look at these filters over here, I want to live in this area, I want a 4 and 5 bedroom, and I want something that's not so old. These are the only options you will consider. And this is why a 5 bedroom at JadeScape made up to 1.7 profit. 4 bedrooms is easily 1.2, 1.3 million profit. Because from a demand point of view, I don't have any supply of new developments in the area. I only have these choices, so I'm willing to pay more for it because I want to live in this area. So coming in, knowing that you have a unit type or a bedroom type that is not a lot of supply in the market, will definitely do you a little bit more in terms of looking at the advantage 5 to 7 years down the road. And the last point is really a good layout. When I talk about supply, we know that for 3 bedrooms in Lentor area, it's going to be a whole lot of supply in the area, easily about 1,000 units in the whole Lentor estate once it all builds up. So next time when you go on Property Guru, I'm a buyer for example, I want to search for 3 bedroom, 1 km within Lentor, I definitely will have hundreds of listings. So how do you stand out from the hundreds of listings, considering the fact that you are looking at maybe 1,000 to 1,200 square feet for example? Is knowing that your layout will definitely stand out more than the rest And this is one example. So we talk about Lentor Modern. There is the normal kitchen, WC Yard Home Shelter. You got little flex room, 3 bedrooms, proper size bedrooms, and 2 bathrooms. A portrait living dining area. For Hillock Green, which is essentially just opposite, what you have that is a little bit more special is once you come in, you got a kitchen, but you got a wide living dining area that's about 5.55 meters if I'm not wrong. Coming in as a buyer today, or if you are owner of one of the Lentor projects and you want a future buyer to come in to pay for your profits, I want to be able to capture a buyer who is like, this layout is definitely a little bit more different than what I've been seeing the whole day. So every time I come in, I see portrait living dining and then 3 bedrooms. But in this case, Hillock Green, once you come in, I have a wide living dining area. That is only the 10% of unit types that I've seen in the whole of Lentor, for example. So imagine you are seeing like 10 units the whole day. Every layout you see is all in the portrait mode, but you get caught by surprise because you get to see one layout that actually has the landscape living dining area and also that study room for you to use it as a flex room or helper's room. This kind of layout will definitely draw a little bit more crowd. They will directly affect the profits that you make at the end of the day. So in a place where the supply is a lot, you want to have a layout that stands out. In a place where there's low supply, you essentially don't have to worry at all. Just go for the one that has very little supply, so you know that next time when you want to exit, there may just be 1 or 2 of you selling and the demand will be able to feed the supply for it. So these are a couple of theories that I think is important. One, on the overarching side of things, you can narrow down easily when you do your homework. Who's the developer, how many units are there, what's the land size like, how's the visibility like. The second deep dive is really looking at one, your price compared to surrounding. 2, a layout that will suit you and your family for now, but at the same time when you want to exit, it's going to be easier for you to exit and it's slightly more unique. And 3, the last one is the supply in the area that is going to help you be able to exit fast. So if you're still unclear after doing your homework, you can reach out to me directly via WhatsApp, and I hope this is insightful. So please follow me on my Telegram channel where I'll share more insights, and also like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. If not, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!